Hey folks, how you guys doing? This is Dan Man here, and I'm giving you the rewind. What is this all about? Well, today we're going to read some news. We're going to show you how AI can help you understand it better. So we all know what it's like surfing the news, finding an interesting article, and then trying to sort of understand the headline and some of the other aspects of what people are talking about. What does it all mean? What are people trying to do per se? You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't have, articles are written to be witty and funny and other things, but sometimes they don't always give you the entire message that you want. So we're going to sort of use AI to help us do that. So here's a simple article from the Washington Examiner I found about Disney and the King Charles Clause. And that just was like weird to me, and I had to know more about what the hell that was about. So I went over here to the Bard, as I call him, Brad, and I asked him a question. Analyze the following text. Give me a detailed summary of what this piece is about. And I copied the text in. Now, sometimes you could copy the link in, but when you give an AI a link, it understands a different modality of understanding. It understands, oh, you want me to go to a site. In Google, for example, it throttles the number of sites that you can sort of analyze because it's recognizing a behavior of sort of potentially scraping or doing something like that. At least that's my opinion. It gets like it qualifies it differently than if you just copy the text in. So I just want to copy the text in and just get straight. Jeez. That's a key piece in the workflow because sometimes you get different results and you want to understand what's going on. So I'm just asking the AI, what do you got? Well, here the AI comes back. The article is about the ongoing dispute, right? It gives me a nice breakdown of it. It actually gives me a better understanding of what the past was and how this get to where it's at. So basically, Disney didn't like the "Don't Say Gay" law, which I would agree is a stupid law. But then again, people have their right to vote how they want, and DeSantis and Florida went after them. They could do a lot of things. They could try to solve the homeless problem, but hell, let's go after this "Don't Gay" you're right, or whatever. Anyways, um, in response to Disney's criticism, DeSantis vowed to take away Disney's special privileges in the state of Florida. Think about the economic impact that Disney probably brought to that state. It was kind of ballsy for him to do that when I heard that initially, because I just thought, like, wow, I could get it if it was the Trump Corporation, right? And he was basically screwing over, or putting wastewater. You know what I mean? I could see it if it was legit, but it's basically a disagreement because Disney thinks your "Don't Say Gay" law is lame. You know what I mean? So, what did DeSantis do? He attacked um, Disney, trying to indoctrinate children. And of course, this went super far with the other side. And so it was like Disney and pedophilia and, da da da. Right? Um, and, complex battle. Now, here's the cool thing the article mentions the King Charles Clause, which is a provision in the agreement between Disney and the former board of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. The clause states that the agreement will continue in effect until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III and the King of England, living as a date of declaration. That's a really hilariously strange clause to have in a legal agreement. And I didn't really understand it. And in any clause, it gave me some more information here. Um, you know, my next question is, what impact would it have on Disney? Uh, and I got sort of a nice breakdown of things that are happening. This it's kind of obvious, it's not too much. Who benefits from the King Charles Clause? How was that ever proposed and agreed to in the first place? And does that clause have any similar clauses in other cases? Can you cite examples? I really think I want to go into law one day. I really like that time I spent at Ohio State and commercialization and being exposed to sort of I like law because it has fixed physics, once you sort of step into the arena, you better have your plan together because there's rules in place and there's things that sort of have to clarify things. And then there's all these cited examples that you work on from the past. So then they give me a better breakdown of what the King Charles Clause does exactly. Um, I was really curious about how it ever came to be in the first place. And it's an interesting, it's all about perpetuities. It's just basically a claim in perpetuity, a legal term for interest in a land that is intended to last forever. Um, it talks about perpetuities and how they're controversial, um, and how it's going to likely be charged or challenged in court. And then I'm just curious, what are the cards? And I like to define my own sort of science sometime to these folks, but to the AIs, I guess. Concepts or tactics Disney could take to help bolster the case in their favor. I do notice a lot the language and tone of how you ask questions to the AI really matters. Like if you're trying to get dirt, it knows you're trying to get dirt, and it sort of disconnects. You know what I mean? And we've seen this with prompt engineering in general. ChatGTP is hot, very open to being taught explicitness, whereas Google Bard is, you can feel the governance engine in this thing, trying to make sure, like, I don't think I'm allowed to do that, right? You know what I mean? Uh, and you can say, why aren't you using ChatGTP? Brad's faster, and and uh, and lately I'm getting more fluid with it, and they both. It's interesting. It's kind of like I want to spend 6 months with Brad first, and then I'll spend 6 months with ChatGTP. In a lot of ways, ChatGTP is so known and understood that I can actually keep up with it just with the resonant news of what people talk about it. You know what I mean? It's easier to stay up. There's no other news about Brad other than what Google's told us. There's not enough news. So I'm sort of like, I have to use it to find out. You know what I mean? Whereas the pattern over here has already been exposed for ChatGTP. All right, back to our thing here. What do we got? In other words, what are some things that Disney could do? Well, they could say First Amendment. They could argument that. I don't know if that's a true thing. And again, this is not a lawyer, right? This is a database of historical knowledge to date, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. But it's interesting, though. I like how it points out things. The common clause, the contract clause, the takings clause, the First Amendment. Now, if I sat down with a lawyer, he'd probably say, dude, this is total wash and crap. But I'm an average citizen, doesn't know this shit. You know what I mean? It's interesting to me. It gives me more insight and clarity than I could ever get from this. This is spin. This is staying tone and spin. That's fine. I don't know how to translate spin anymore, but the AI does. The AI can translate the spin for me. It can tell me a better recognition of what I just looked at. It's helping me screen that. Yet at the same time, it's biased potentially, and it can try to avoid certain things. Yada yada yada. Like you can, like Google is throttled. I get why Google's throttled. It should be throttled. It's enterprise. It's massive. In fact, their approach to doing AI development is going to be huge. And in fact, Google's own generative AI cloud will probably blow away potentially 20 or 30% of the known AI startups right now trying to leverage ChatGPT to make something enterprisingly interesting. Google generative AI cloud just came out and was like, you know what I mean? It's like you can see where this stuff is going. It's really incredible. And AI is changing everyone's lives. And for me, it's given me another lens of looking at things. I understand this piece better. What's really funny is I probably added this pattern up in here, but I didn't really have the details, and I had to navigate all this opinion and stuff. I almost prefer everything translated through an AI lens. I can dial it down, give it to me like I'm 7 years old, treat me like I'm a scientist, but I'm crazy. convince me. You know what I'm saying? I could say, give this article back to me as if you really care about whether or not I understand what's happening. You know what I mean? Because I don't know from sources. I mean, it's a good piece. I liked that it happened. I'm glad the story happened. I'm glad I'm learning about the King Charles clause. That stood out to me as rather strange. And then I was able to prove it, you know? And that's a fun time with AI. Thanks for watching.